From Studio A in Texas, USA, welcome to the In-Wheel Time Car Show, your all things automotive car talk show. Today's 2-hour program all about Mustangs. From the factory guy to collectors to enthusiasts, we got it all. We also have new vehicle reviews of the GMC Sierra pickup and the Ram 1500. We'll also have our weekly Ram Tracks and Jeep Trails features, this week's automotive news, the Mystery Garage, and Conrad's Car Clinic. Those features and more just ahead on another jam-packed 2-hour edition of the In-Wheel Time Car Show for Saturday, July the 11th, 2020. Howdy, along with Mike out of this world Mars down there and King Conrad DeLong right over here. I'm Don Armstrong. We're so glad that you could join us today. And we're going to, as I mentioned, we're going to talk about Mustangs.
Mustang Mania today.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
You know, and I just want to say this right up front that I was the Chevy guy. And I guess the reason being is because Dad had Buicks, so we were GM. You know, there's the Ford people over there, dated a girl, her whole family, they had nothing but Fords. Here's the Armstrong family over here, all GM. And then me, gravitated toward the Chevrolet side of things, worked for a Chevrolet dealer. But, you know, I had some very good friends of mine that were Mustang guys.
Oh, yeah.
And when the 67, 64 and a half Mustang came out, it was all that. And there was no denying it. We didn't have a Camaro back then.
Nope.
And so it was all about Mustang.
I saw the Mustang at the World's Fair in 1964.
And actually, my brother had a 64 Mustang. It was a 6-cylinder.
That's okay.
But it was a Mustang.
I had an uncle, graduated out of college. That was the first car he bought, a 64 and a half Mustang convertible. When the convertibles dropped, he went down and got one.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's my kind of history when it comes to Mustangs. So you had a relative, my brother being, obviously a relative of mine, he had a Mustang. You got any Mustang connections?
Well, yeah, my best friend when I went through college had a Mustang. He had a 66 notchback Mustang. And when I was in high school, of all things, and this was like 74, one of my friends had a Boss 429.
Really?
And wrapped it around a tree.
And I actually owned 2 Mustangs in my lifetime. One was a 66 289 4-speed that I
Beat up.
hard.
My guess is you probably beat it really hard.
I tell you what.
The on-ramp acceleration test.
I was single, had a hot date with a blonde that night, and I was coming down the main drag on the way to her house, showing off. And the high school star football quarterback turned in front of me in his graduation present. Neither one of us had anything after I T-bowed him hard.
So this is pre-Becky?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
This is still high school.
Okay.
Becky wasn't even born yet.
I wouldn't go quite that far, but I'm sure she would agree with you at this point.
And Don dated Mustang Sally.
Thank you, Jeff Zekin, for that. So let's get right to our Mustang Mania, shall we? And right out of the box, we're going to talk to Bill Wageneck, who is actually an acquaintance of Mr. Mars. We're going to get into that as well. Bill, good morning, and thanks so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Good morning, guys. Glad to be here.
Yeah, well, thanks so much. And, Bill, we understand that not only are you a Mustang guy, but you're a car collector, and within your collection of cars, you own a very special Mustang that, oddly enough, is a connection to Mike Mars, and that's how we got back to you. And I understand from an earlier conversation that you have not seen Mike Mars in how many years?
46 years.
Well, it's
been a little while.
It's just as well. That's all I can say. But part of your collection is a Mustang. But let's talk about car collecting to start off with. And the fact that you have a Mustang in the collection, I think is kind of unique because it's your only Mustang in the collection. Am I correct?
It's my only Mustang that I currently own. I've had some Mustangs in my collection over the years, boss cars and GT500, GT350, and then when my son was in high school, much to the chagrin of all the parents in Plano, I bought him a 95 5-liter, 5-speed, and they all told me that my son was going to kill all the kids, including himself in Plano. And I said, no, that isn't going to happen. I know my son, he loves cars. He collected cars with me all the years, that since he was just a kid.
And I understand that your son is involved in this little telecast that you're joining us with right now, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, he's a businessman. He's actually a banker. His wife's a business person, but they both I'm in their study, and they set me up, and they're in charge of IT. Although he did shut the door, so if something happens, I'll have to go get him. But
Okay. Well,
all the videos I've got later and pics and all that kind of stuff, that's because of both my daughter-in-law and my son, thank God.
so let's talk about the collection first of all. So give us an idea of you and your automotive background. What's in the collection currently?
Currently, as far as Mustangs, is just the one that we'll talk about later. And,
Right.
Can I talk about for a minute? I want to back up, if you allow me to, and tell you why I became a car collector.
Please do. Yes, we'd love to hear that.
I grew up in Richland Hills, Texas. I don't know if you all have a clue where Richland Hills is, but it's outside of Fort Worth, and real close to where Green Valley Raceway was.
We remember Green Valley Raceway.
Yes.
Oh, I got a lot of buddies that raced out there.
Yep.
And anyway, so it was kind of, if you've seen the movie American Graffiti.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I lived American Graffiti. I could have done that. I could have written that show.
So you and George Lucas obviously knew each other in a past life.
George Lucas should have conferred with me on that movie. But he didn't. So we had a little Dairy Queen there. It wasn't a Dairy Queen as far as corporate Dairy Queen. It was just a mom and pop shop. We all went round in circles, and there was 409 Chevrolets, and there was, some of the hot rod 3 windows, and buddy of mine became a AA fuel digger driver, Chip Woodall. He had a 40 Ford with a small block. Anyway, it's a lot of fast cars. And I drove a 52 Ford Council. Now, there isn't anybody on this program, probably anybody listening to the show, knows what a 52 Ford Council is. But it was a car that came out of, it was Ford made it for the Brits. And it was a four-banger 3-speed. Did have leather interior, so I was proud of that.
Uptown.
But anyway, so real quickly, so I went off to college, and I said, if I ever get out of college, all those cars that were in Richland Hills and all that were racing, all my buddies, I'm going to get me some of those. And that's what started me car collecting.
Okay, so let's talk about what you got there today. Obviously, you've gone through several iterations of a car collection, so what do you currently have?
Yeah, the only thing I've got left now, I have many, I think I was talking with Michael, I had a lot of vets over the years, which is another subject for another day based on your program. But all I've got now is a Shelby GT 350, and then I've got a 75 Corvette, which I just resurrected all the, here, I got to show you this. Anyway, that car, bought it from A.J. Foyt.
Oh,
A.J. Foyt Chevrolet here in town on Post Oak.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And my wife had a 68, and I bought that for her, and then I traded it one night, and she was reading a book on the couch, and she said, where are you going? I said, I'm going to get you a new Corvette, and I bought that 75. We still have that 75.
Oh, my gosh. It's an original owner car.
Yeah, it's got
Rare.
40, I think it's, I'm going to lie, but a big ride, about 44,000 miles on it.
Sweet.
As soon as I bought it, 1 year later, she got pregnant, and I just put that car up.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to get in it and out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the friends of the show we have here, Randy Shannon, he has a bought new '69 Mustang Mach 1 that he still owns and still takes out in shows.
That's great. That's great.
Well, it's good to know that there's still a few of us. So what is your everyday driver, Bill?
I drive an E-Class Mercedes.
Uh-huh. You like that?
Oh yeah, I love it. I've had a lot of Mercedes, I guess. I shouldn't put it that way, but I'm a diesel freak. So in the early days when you had diesel Mercedes, I bought them all.
The old 300D.
Oh yeah, three Ds. My dad was a conservative German he ran airlines, and but he was so dang good. He had a 220 diesel Mercedes. It was 4-speed, 220 diesel, and if you gassed it, it'd back up on you.
Yeah, you'd measure it 0 to 60 time with a calendar.
Yeah, no, it's terrible. But, anyway, he had a lot of diesels, and the E-cars. I like the E-cars. They're safe and they're reliable, and you drive them forever until you're tired of them, and you go get another one.
Well, so we won't hold the fact that you're currently driving a Mercedes-Benz. It's probably a little bit more reliable than the old carbureted Corvette or the carbureted Mustang, but I'm kind of surprised that you don't have something more fun to drive around. You know, they have these things called resto mods now where they put air conditioning in them, fuel injection in them, make them more reliable. You know, you could have one of those, Bill. We'll let you.
For about 35 years, we've gone out to Barrett Jackson every year. We used to go when that was a small show. And when they first started doing the resto mods and all that kind of stuff, I said, damn it, they're taking the engines and the drivetrains and the tranny. I don't like that at all. And now I see what they've done with those cars, and it's unbelievable.
It's a work of art in a lot of cases.
Yeah. Very remarkable.
Yeah,
it's the best of the best.
And I'm kind of with you on that. Conrad has convinced me that it's okay to take the carburetor off and put a fuel injection carburetor looking thing on top of it because nobody would be able to tell the difference. Okay, I'm good with that. But, you know, when it comes to the transmissions, the 327s, the 427s, I would really kind of like to have the original engine.
There's something to the originality of a car. It's like your GT350. I would think it would be a crime to resto mod a car like that because there is a collectability, there's a provenance to that car, and pull the Ford powertrain out and stick a Chevy LS in. No. I think if you showed up at a Ford show, they would shame you with a car like that you'd modded.
If I ever decide to sell the 350, whoever I sell it to is going to have to promise that this thing stays 100% original.
Oh, yeah.
I got it 100% original, and it is 100% original, and don't jack with it. I mean, certain cars you can do that with. There's certain just sin to do it with other cars, in my opinion.
I agree with you. So we're on the same track with that. So how often do you drive your two cars that you have in the collection these days?
Well, it's kind of interesting. I've got a place in Houston, a condo off of Memorial, and the vet's down there, and then the Mustangs up here. Mustang I drive only on pretty days. It hasn't seen rain in 46 years, and it's not going to.
Does it have air conditioning?
No. Well, that's an interesting question. This car came without it. And when we get into the story about this car later, I guess that's what we're going to do.
Yes.
I'll tell you all about that. But during the process of over many, many, many years, I decided, daggone it, I live in Texas and it's hot. And so the guy that was helping me build the car, one of the guys, there was many guys out of Houston, special people. But anyway, I said, find me the original stuff for the dash and all that. I want this car air conditioned.
Oh, wow. That had to be kind of hard to find all those pieces.
We found a friend of mine, Johnny Keels, who owns Keels Automotive. He's gone now, but Johnny looked for 2 years, and he found it in the guy's attic. So all that's on the car, and it's got a modern day compressor.
So do you take it out to some of the car meets up there as well?
I really haven't. This car has been basically only a few of my friends. This is another story for another time, but only a few of my friends and my family, me and my son, although I'll show you some videos in a while that my son drove it the other day. It's kind of fun. But nobody's seen this car in years and years and years. It's SAAC, Shelby American Automobile. They didn't even know this car existed. I mean, they knew that it was
built. It came out of the factory somewhere.
Yeah, they knew it was built, but they didn't know if it was destroyed or what it was. When I finally got a hold of it, although there's some others that are like that, obviously. But nobody even know about this car for many, many years.
Well, we're going to talk to you about the 67 Mustang, the Shelby GT 350, at the bottom of the hour in about 15 minutes. So we invite you to stay with us. We're going to take care of some other business, got a car review to do here and some other features. But we're dying to talk to you further and drill down into the Mustang itself that you currently have. So you got a chance to stay with us?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. So Bill Wagenknecht is our guest, car collector, and part of the Mike Mars Mustang story, which is kind of scary because I did not know Mike even owned a Mustang, but he did. And it's funny because that Mustang has made it around the world, I think. And here it is back in Texas, and Mike hooked up with.
It's a long story. It's an interesting story.
Well, we don't want to make it too long.
Well, no, but basically, in his process of restoring the car, he was looking for history. And he's got a couple of unique things that kind of drove him to this. Anyway, he ended up contacting my son. My son's name is Michael Mars, trying to find out if that was the same person because he's still got the title.
Oh, that had Michael Mars on it.
Michael Mars on it. He still had it, so he's chasing him down. So my son calls me and said, hey, didn't you have...
In Hootersville, Texas.
Yes. Actually, he lives next door in the next town over in Port Neches. But anyway, so he contacted him and sent him an email. I think his wife's actually the one that found Mike. Anyway, Mike called me and said, you're not going to believe what I got in the mail today. And so then I called Bill, and then we kind of, and things have just kind of connected. And even yesterday, there was another add to this whole little story. We'll get into all that.
All right, very good. So coming up next, a review of the GMC Sierra here on the In Wheel Time Car Show.
Man, I love my kids so much. I once sat for 3 hours in the cold rain to watch her soccer team lose by 18 goals.
I love my kids so much, I once used a tube to suck snot out of her stuffed nose at 3 a.m.
You win.
Love your kids? Love them enough to make sure they're in the right car seat. From toddlers to tweens, visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat to find the right seat for their age and size. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
A social distancing tip.
While the CDC urges you to avoid close contact, like hugging or shaking hands, there are other non-physical ways to say hello. Wave, wink, use sign language, salute, smile, give the peace sign, throw up an air high five, do jazz hands. Remember, stay a minimum of 6 feet or 2 arms length away from others and stay home if you can. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part because we're all #alone together. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Hey, be sure and join us each and every Saturday for our live show, 10 a.m. to noon on Facebook and YouTube, and catch our podcasts on your favorite podcast channel. And we thank you for joining us on this Saturday. This is the 11th of July, 2020, and the Mustang Mania show. Time now for this hour's car review, and I had a chance to drive the 2020 GMC Sierra. It comes in these trim levels. It starts off with the base. It's called that, base. SLE. Elevation, SLT, AT4, and the top of the line Denali. Denali seems to be a very popular trim level.
Well, that has become a brand within GMC, which is their premier brand of everything, because I think every vehicle line they have has a Denali version.
Well, that could very well be, but it is a trim level. Mm-hmm. This is still the GMC Sierra Denali.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Just want to make sure that everybody understands that. So the reviewed trim level was the four-wheel drive crew cab Denali. That was loaded up. What size or class? It is the standard pickup truck, a half-ton. Seats 5 passengers in this particular one. Exterior changes from last model year? None. Features. 6-way multi-pro tailgate. That's what they call it. That's that thing that you see advertised. It is the bomb, and it is only available on the upper trim levels of the GMC Sierra.
Correct. It's not available on the sister Chevrolet version.
That's correct. Now, this particular truck had the Carbon Pro bed.
Trying to take some weight out of the vehicle, I'm sure.
Yep. It's another option. It's an expensive option, but I think what they're trying to do is compete with the all-aluminum Ford. Mm-hmm. And it's carbon fiber.
Well, there's the uniqueness of it being carbon fiber, and then there's the benefit of it being lighter weight.
Right. It has a big, huge GMC grill. If you could get the grill any bigger, it would encompass the headlights, the parking lights. It would encompass the entire front end. Well, it's as close to that as you can get.
But it's got a truck look to it.
It's that blunt nose.
Yeah. It's almost 18-wheeler look to it. It's so big.
The other fact is it's a mostly Chevy. It shares the same body panels and basically the interior as the Chevrolet. The only thing is that it's got GMC badges all over.
Well, and the front end's unique to GMC, and then there's some features that are unique to GMC.
It does have the integrated footholds in the rear bumper, which I think they have some exclusive right to that. Why wouldn't everybody have that?
It was an old Avalanche deal. And the Avalanche, it came out with that, and it's kind of, and then they dropped it, and it's kind of like, The same thing.
It's the
Why didn't
simplicity
everybody
of it.
else have
Right.
it? But nobody wants to copy. You know, if you look, they don't want to copy each other. Even if it's a good idea, they don't want to do the same thing somebody else did.
Ford has that pull-out
But they all
step
copy
thing
each other.
to a
Well,
degree.
but they don't want it to look like they copied each other.
Whatever. Interior highlights, dual passenger side glove boxes, one above, one below. Same dash as Chevrolet, different badging again. Extra large center console, thick leather seating surfaces. I mean, it's football thick. You know what I'm saying? It's not some little dainty thing.
Trying to give you some durability because they know people are going to be a little rougher
It
with
is.
it.
Yeah, it's a truck. Cargo trunk room. It has 3 different bed lengths that are available depending on the cab that you get. What I liked, the upscale interior, the passive phone charger, and the Berber floor mats. Remember Berber?
That's right.
Yeah, Berber. Yeah, well, that's what I call them. I don't know what GMC calls them.
I think it's instead of the pile being cut at the top, it's looped at the top.
There you go.
And it gives some durability to it.
I actually liked it a lot. Okay. The other thing that could use improvement, I think that the interior design seems a bit dated. I said that with the Ford F-150, and now they're coming out with a new one, and they've completely redesigned the dashboard, and it's really something if you haven't seen it.
And over time, each brand has tried to elevate their interior, and some are always a step behind, and then they step ahead, and then they step behind. Yeah, so they're all worrying about it.
This particular one had a 6.2-liter V8 gasoline engine with 420 horsepower, 460 pound-feet of torque on a 10-speed automatic transmission. Tow rating, depending on what cab, what bed, all of that, it'll tow up to 12,000 pounds. It will haul up to 2,140 pounds. I don't know where they come up with a half ton. That's a ton.
Yeah. How did you like the 10-speed? Was it busy?
Say again?
How did you like the 10-speed? Was it busy shifting?
No. And I think the one thing that I liked about it, it's got enough horsepower that it doesn't constantly hunt between gears. But when you're ready to just pass that car without throttling the throttle, it'll kick down just like that, and it knows that you want to go, and it goes. So it's good.
Plant you in the seat.
It could, yeah, if it doesn't spin the tires first. City, 15 miles per gallon city, 20 highway combined to 17. I got 16.5 over 195 miles. What I liked about it was the power. What could use improvement? Better mileage with a question mark. Can you? Can you get better mileage? Maybe. I don't know about that big V8, though. What I liked about the ride and handling, I love the adaptive suspension. Helps smooth the bumps when the bed is unloaded. Base trim price, $58,200. Price is tested $71,250. Base model price, only $29,600 if you want to get into the stripper base model. Competitors, Chevy Silverado, which is its twin, starts at $22,007. Ford F-150, $28,048. And the Ram 1500 is $27,048. And that is the review of the GMC 2020 model 1500. Hey, be sure and check out our podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, iHeart Podcast, TuneIn, Google Podcast, and Podcast Addict. You can also catch our video stream on Facebook.com/InWheelTime and YouTube/InWheelTime. Quick break now. Right back with more of In Wheel Time after this.
Man, I love my kids so much. I once sat for 3 hours in the cold rain to watch her soccer team lose by 18 goals.
I love my kids so much, I once used a tube to suck snot out of her stuffed nose at 3 a.m.
You win.
Love your kids? Love them enough to make sure they're in the right car seat. From toddlers to tweens, visit NHTSA.gov/the right seat to find the right seat for their age and size. Keep them safe. Visit NHTSA.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
A social distancing tip.
While the CDC urges you to avoid close contact, like hugging or shaking hands, there are other non-physical ways to say hello. Wave, wink, use sign language, salute, smile, give the peace sign, throw up an air high five, do jazz hands. Remember, stay a minimum of 6 feet or 2 arms length away from others, and stay home if you can. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part, because we're all #alone together. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
If you're thinking to yourself, wait a minute, didn't I just hear that?
Yes,
No,
you did.
no, you didn't. No, you didn't.
Your
Are you going crazy?
imagination.
Absolutely, and welcome to my world.
Deja vu.
All over again.
Prevagen.
Prevagen.
My memory's so good, I hear it twice.
Wait a minute. Did I forget to take that this morning? I can't remember. Welcome back to the In Wheel Time Car Show. Conrad's got the car calendar and the racing calendar. What a messed up, jacked up
season it's been.
Well,
let's start with the car calendar.
All right, let's do that.
Because there's still stuff going on,
Really?
even though we're kind of locking down, not locking down, but slowing down again.
We
here
may
in
be
Texas.
locking down before too long.
So on the calendar, let's look at stuff that's a couple of weeks out. So July 25th from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m., Tice Motorsports is going to have their Twilight Show, and that's hosted by Kerry Kirkley and Showplace Classics, and that is at 9606 Kirkton Drive in Houston, Texas.
Social distancing in place.
Yes, masks required. On Saturday, July 25th as well, starting at 4 p.m. is the Galveston Cherry Hill Cruise, and they are going to meet up at the Buc-ee's in Katy at 4 p.m. They're going to roll out at 5 p.m. and stop at the Buc-ee's in Texas City at 6 p.m. and then roll on down to Cherry Hill to try and be in Cherry Hill at 7 p.m. Now, Cherry Hill
Isn't there a song called Cherry Hill Park?
Yes.
Okay. Well, they're going to go park on Cherry Hill and take pictures, so maybe they wrote the song about this cruise.
Or maybe they'll play it at least.
And then,
I can.
And then also on Sunday, the 26th, is Houston Performance Driving is going to be up at Twin Peaks meet. Always a fun meet. Some really cool cars show up. Well worth the time.
That's a Sunday morning?
It's a Sunday morning.
Yeah.
And then looking a little bit further, September 26th, the 8th Annual Lone Star Deluxe Hot Rod and Music Festival is going to be at the Showboat Pavilion. And the Klein High School Band is going to have a car show on October 10th at the Klein High School parking lot. And then
Whatever happened to the spaghetti dinners? Remember those? When the band used to have the spaghetti dinner in the high school auditorium?
You know, Mac DeLop one time hooked us up with them. We went out and did a remote there at the band, and they did the spaghetti dinner and the car show, and they had some great jalapeno poppers.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was where was that? Westbury?
No, it was
no,
not
it wasn't at
Westbury.
Westbury. It was at one of the schools, though.
Like Memorial area. It was out.
Yeah,
it was out
someplace
west,
out in there.
Central
Right,
West,
right.
South I-10. And then October 25th, the Northside Mustang Club is going to have their open car show at the Conroe Outlets. And I know Randy Weldon's listening, so I'd give Northside Mustangs a shout out.
Maybe they're
as well.
watching.
Hopefully they're watching as well.
Yeah.
Since listening and watching, you got to do the two together.
We're on video. This is a video and radio show, so it's video.
Hi, Randy.
Video.
Racing, still every Friday night is street legal racing out at Houston Raceway Park, and then street night at HMP. Sunday at 5 p.m. is Test and Tune at HMP. The NHRA event is starting up this weekend. NHRA is finally back.
Without John Force.
Oh, I didn't realize that. John Force is standing down.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and that's going to be at Indianapolis Lucas Raceway, and they're also having a repeat next weekend at Indianapolis Lucas Raceway of another NHRA event. Indy Cars is going to be at Iowa on the 18th. Formula One, they had their first event last weekend, July 4th, in Austria, and this next one is going to be in Hungary, and that's on the 19th. NASCAR tomorrow night is at Kentucky, and if you watched the NASCAR Infinity Series last night, you also got to see a little MMA at the end of it because the one guy crashed the other guy into the wall, and they
Bobby Allison, Cale Yarborough kind of throwback?
Oh, very much so. And they just waylaid each other. And I swear this guy must have knocked him out because he hit him with a right cross, and the guy went just down to the ground.
I guess it was Donnie Allison. Sorry, I didn't mean to mix those up.
And then Wednesday night on the 15th, NASCAR is going to have the All-Star at Bristol, of all places. And then on the 21st, they're going to be back at Talladega. IMSA is going to be at Sebring on the 17th and 18th. Well, I want to announce one thing, that Corvette won its 100th IMSA race last weekend at the Daytona 240. Have I gone long? Okay.
Yeah, and you were the one that said, oh, yeah, put the clock over there. I won't go more than 4 minutes. Just saying.
Oh, and SCCA.
No, there's nothing
yes,
else. No,
SCCA.
here, let me show you how we do that. So we'd like to share your car stuff with everybody. All you need to do is send it to info@inwheeltime.com and through the In Wheel Time Facebook page. Up next on the In Wheel Time Car Show, we revisit with Bill Wagenuck and the Mike Mars Shelby 67 story, the one that got away. Stay with us.
It's 4 a.m., Monday, and you're literally sucking baby snot through a tube because she's congested. Man, that's love. And if you love her that much, love her enough to make sure she's buckled in the right car seat. To make sure your child's in the right seat for their age and size, visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Show them you love them. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Is your business or company looking to stand out in a crowded advertising market? Looking to reach the real auto enthusiast? Well, you found it. You're listening or watching In Wheel Time, and so are your fellow enthusiasts. The In Wheel Time Car Show now reaches 500,000, and we can put together a marketing plan that will engage them in your product, business, or service. To get the tires rolling, just shoot us an email to our marketing director, Jeff Zekin. His address is jeff@inwheeltime.com. This is your weekly go-to award-winning car talk show, In Wheel Time. Today is Mustang Mania Day, and this segment of our show includes Bill Wagenuck, friend of Mike Mars, with the Shelby Mustang story about the one that got away. We'll also have our Jeep Trails feature and a peek at this week's Mystery Garage, plus the stories making auto news headlines. All that and more just ahead in this segment of In Wheel Time. Howdy along with Mike out of this world, Mars, King Conrad DeLong. I'm Don Armstrong. Glad you could join us today. Thanks so much. It's a hot one here in Houston, Texas, if you didn't know.
Oh, gosh.
I think that today's temperature is supposed to be 100. Feels like temperature 110, so that means that the temperature inside of your car probably up to about 140 degrees when the windows closed.
Every bit of 140.
And so this is a reminder to be sure and check the back seat. Pets, nuh-uh. Yeah, the kids, nothing in there that's
chocolate,
alive. Yeah, there's that. Who said something about, M&Ms melt in your mouth, not in your hand? That'll do it. To put them in the back of the car.
They'll melt in your van, that's for sure.
Oh, are you there now?
Now I am.
Okay, sorry. So Bill Wagenuck rejoins us. He's a car collector, lives up in North Texas. We'll just leave it at that. But Bill and Mr. Mars have a connection that, I'll let you explain how the connection happened. So it's all yours.
So let me put my disclaimer out there right up front. So back in the mid-'70s, 1975, I was getting married for the first time, living in an apartment, needing to buy a house, and I happened to have, at the time, a 1967 Shelby GT 350. The little car would fly. It would fly. It was a runner. But being down there, I bought it from a guy in Port Arthur, Texas. That Bill's going to add a little bit more about that, I think. And it had a rust problem. I mean, that's just
you
living
lived
on the
at
coast.
Port Arthur.
It did.
You could listen to a car rust.
The floorboards were fine and everything, but the quarters and things and the back fin had a little. Anyway, it had some damage, and so I was looking for a way to try and repair it. And I ran across a guy over in Houston that had one that had a pretty good body on it, a pristine body is what I was told. And so we started kind of haggling back and forth. I wanted his car. He wanted my car. And that is the only hot rod I ever made any money off of, let me say that. So I took the money and ran and bought a new house. The house is gone, the wife's gone, and the Mustang's gone. It's all gone now. So looking back, this is truly the one that got away for a lot of reasons.
So how does this connect to this guy that we're showing on TV right now?
Bill is the guy in Houston at the time that actually bought my car, my GT350.
So okay. Bill has the car. We're not sure who has the wife, and we don't care who has the house.
Yeah, we don't care who has the house or the wife. Either one.
We're going to keep this just to the car story.
Yeah. So he's had the car all these years. He's done some fabulous research on it in talking to him. And the way he found
Did you actually sell it to him personally?
Yes.
You did?
Yes.
And that was the last time you saw or heard from him? Until recently?
Until recently, whenever he, in his process of him building his history, reached out to Michael Mars because he still got the title, the original title, had my name on it. Well, The one he ran across was my son, Michael Mars, who lives about 5 miles from me.
Not the title, but the person.
But the person. And my son sends me a text and says, "You're not going to believe what I got in the mail today." A letter from Bill looking for the Michael Mars that owned this Shelby GT350. And that's what hooked us back up together. And it's been fascinating talking to him about the things that he's done with the car, where it's been, and some of the research he's found out that in 1975, I had no appreciation for what it was.
You were a kid with a hot rod beating on a Mustang.
And I was getting married and needed a house, and it got away. That's all I can tell you. This is the one that got away.
Let's bring it up to date now, Bill, and let's talk to you about you acquiring the car, and what did you do with it once you got it? Oh, sorry. Sorry. There you go. Sorry.
We're going to have to restart you. Don forgot to pot you.
Go ahead, Bill. I'm sorry.
All right. The guy you're talking about, Mike, is Glenn Walker. He's still a friend of mine. We've collected a lot of cars together over the years. He's the one that told me about your car. So we went from Houston to Port Arthur, I guess, and bought that car. By the way, here's the original owner's manual that I didn't even know existed until 2 weeks ago. My son found it in the glove box, if that tells you anything.
Oh, my gosh.
And
nice.
How we found the original Barry Bollinger. We found the original owner that led me to Mike Mars through my wife. We found the original owner. He was a lawyer out of Wisconsin. He and his wife went to a car show, saw it, bought it. He's now a lawyer in Chicago. And then years later, they sold it. And so we found the original. And then my wife saw Mike Mars' name on the title. And so I think he told the story. We went and bought the car. I think I paid $1,200 for that car.
Yeah, but I made money. I was a big time making money.
Well, in 1975, $1,200 was a lot of money back then.
I was making $3 an hour working for the phone company.
There you go. Yeah.
So we got in the car, did something pretty stupid. A friend of mine he got in to drive, sitting on the right side, and we're heading back down to Houston. And I had a '73 Buick, then, black Buick LeSabre. I love that car. And Glenn Walker, who I just alluded to that it talked with you, he used to drive my Buick, and a Grand Am pulled up beside us, and he had his girlfriend with him. He wanted to race, and of course, couldn't pass that up. Walker said that at 105, the Buick was spent. It was all over with. But and we're on bias ply tires. They're old.
Yeah.
And I think we did 130. We blew him away. And remember, we got to the gas station. He said, "What is that? What's in that Mustang?" And my buddy said, "Oh, it's just a regular Mustang." Anyway, took it back to Houston. We were buying and selling a lot of split window Corvettes, a lot of things back then. It was mainly Corvettes back then. Got really fell in love with Mustangs. But put the car up, took the engine out, greased it up, sprayed it up, and didn't see it for 20 years.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
So the engine that's in it is back in it. It's the same engine.
It is. 20 some odd years later, another, again, friend of mine, Johnny Keels, it was, he took it over to his shop after being in storage for 20 years, and they cranked that sucker up after 20 years. And he called me, he said, "Bill, listen to this." And I could hear it. You know how they are, solid lifters and all that. Anyway, we went ahead and built the engine, but it's original engine, and from there, built the body. I've got some videos here, and I don't know what you want to see. I got pics and videos. It's a little bit different, Mike, than when you did it.
Well, we want to see it.
Yeah.
Can you pull that up for us?
Let me show you a video real quick.
All right.
If I may. I've got a couple of them. See if I can.
Did your son teach you how to do that?
Yeah, my son teaches me. I used to teach him stuff. He teaches me now.
Well, that's how it works.
Can you see it?
No, we cannot.
Let me double check over here. Yeah.
No,
let me try this. It says stop video. Otherwise, I'll go get it.
You have to text for IT help?
Well, let's hope that he is Bill. Well, there you go.
Yeah, well, we got that.
Is that you that?
That's not helping. I may have to go get him. I apologize, guys.
Well, that's all right. That's all right. Matter of fact, what we can do while we wait for you is we could take a quick break and.
Okay, you want to do that? Because I got some pics and some videos.
Yes. So
one of it running. Jason took it out running, and it's running pretty good.
All right. Well,
It's showing here. It's not showing with you. I'll go get him.
All right. You go do that, and we'll go take a break, and we'll be right back.
Might you be buzzed when you suddenly love everything?
You guys, I love this song. I love these nachos. I love our kickball league. Ugh! I love this guy.
What's your name?
You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I love your car. Is this real leather?
A social distancing tip.
Putting distance between yourself and others is critical to slowing the spread of coronavirus. So here are ways to stay in contact without the physical contact part. Call, send a text, set up a video conference, post on social media, dedicate a song on the radio. If you have symptoms of fever, dry cough, and shortness of breath, call your healthcare provider before going to their office. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part, because we're all #alone together. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Okay, so we're on the line with Bill Wagenknecht. We're going to get back with him here in just a second while he summons his son to help him to show how he can play the video.
I have to get my granddaughters.
Well,
so
I was just going to say,
why
why wouldn't you just have him sit there with you? That's
yeah.
Whatever.
I was telling y'all, during while we were off the air there, I have one picture of that car left between the hurricanes, Ike and Harvey and all that stuff, and the damage that we took. I only got
the
one
damage
picture.
that you took on the car.
No, on the house. The
house
pictures being destroyed and everything else. I got one picture that survived of that car.
So it sounds like Bill has done all the things to the car that you wish you could have.
Well, I wish I'd have been smart enough to at least think about doing. I mean, I was buying a house and stuff. I wasn't even thinking about that.
And now looking back on it, and you let a '67 GT350 go for, what did he say, $1,200?
But again, I made 50% of my money off of that.
Let's
deal,
put this into perspective. Now, there is this certain aura about Shelby GT 500. Back then, it was just as souped as like buying a Cosworth Vega. Who would have ever thought in a million years that a Cosworth Vega would be worthy of money?
I don't know.
Today it is.
I don't know if it still is.
Well, it's more than what it was.
More than it was from the factory.
All right, so let's get back with Bill. And there's a.
I think we got our IT solved. Let me push the button, or my daughter-in-law push it and see if you can see this video.
Yeah, we got the car.
We see the car. We're waiting for the. Oh, here we go.
The video. My son shot this one.
Okay. We were kind of hoping that it had audio with it, but because there's a certain sound that a Shelby has. So that's your old car, Mars.
Hey, my second video, my son was driving it. You'll hear it.
Excuse my drool.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
So is this the original color, the paint color?
Is.
Okay.
Everything's original on the car. Mike, that's a little bit different than when I bought it from you.
Oh, I'm telling you, that's gorgeous.
And the roll hoop was standard in the Shelbys.
It was.
And
everything, and then it had the inboard lights. I'm going to do the next video so you'll hear it run. Try this.
And I know we've got a number of Mustang Clubs are on the on Facebook watching as well. I'm sure they're all drooling as well. There's something beautiful about that generation of Shelby with the inboard headlights.
Yeah, it was.
That's the way to drive it. Drive it like you stole it.
Now, that was my son driving, and he wasn't into that. He wasn't punishing it at all. And he did it to me. Of course, I had to laugh.
So what do you estimate that car to be worth today?
There's another pick. That's one of my favorite picks that, again, my son took, if y'all can see that.
Did you hear me, Bill?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. So what do you estimate?
They're all over the road. All over the, I think that a real number for that car is 125 to 150.
Mm-hmm. I will tell you, Mecum Auction in Houston last year had a numbers car, went through a GT350. Look at that. Look at that.
Is that beautiful?
God.
I'm listening, Mike. Go ahead.
179.
Is that what it went for? 179?
Yes, 179. Yeah.
So, Bill, besides.
Go ahead.
Well, you said you had contacted Shelby Club to let them know where this serial number vehicle was, that you had it. They were kind of happy, I'm sure, to find it. Do you also have any of the other documentation supporting that? What is the Ford Mustang guy? Is it a Marty report? Does that apply to Shelby's as well?
I don't have anything from SAAC. I do, like I said, I reached out to the original owner, and he was kind enough to send me a letter saying that he and his wife had bought it at a car show from a dealer.
Oh, wow.
And of course, I found Mike later. And then in this, what I was going to say, we just figured this out the other night, 2 nights ago. On the title, which is in the lockbox, but on the inside front cover of the owner's manual that we talked about, there's a guy named Johnny P. Otto. He was from Lewistown, New York. Mr. Otto moved to down where Mike was, and according to my wife, his name is on that title, so he sold it to Mike. So I've got that also. And then there's a couple SAAC guys that want to come down and document the entire car, all the numbers, do all the things that they do. And because of the virus, I said, well, wait, it's been 46 years, so I'm not in a hurry.
You could wait a little while longer.
Wait a little while longer. Don't want to get anybody, not to be safe. And so I said, just wait. And when y'all are ready, I'll pick you up at the airport, come document the thing and do what you got to do.
Are you proud that you own the car?
I'm very proud. And here's one thing that I told the guys up there at SAAC. I said, if and when I decide to sell this car, I will not sell this car to just anybody. I will sell it to a caretaker of this car, because I've been fortunate enough to be a caretaker of this car for all these years. And I don't mean to be rude, but the person's going to have to pass my scrutiny before, I don't care how much money they've got.
Well, good for you. Good for you.
Yeah, and based on our previous conversation, I have a feeling that you're going to make them sign a document that says you're not going to put a Tesla engine in it, you're not going to resto-mod it, you're going to keep it the way that it is, because, that is an absolutely stunning car, and I congratulate you on a job well done on getting the thing restored. It is absolutely spectacular.
Hey, Bill, Mars wants to double your money. He wants to give you $3,000 for the car today, cash.
I'll let him rent it for one Saturday for 3 days.
Bill Wagenknecht, it is a true honor and a pleasure to talk to you, sir. We hope that next time you're in town, you'll bring the Mustang, or next time we come up to the DFW area, we're going to stop by and say hello to the Mustang, if that's okay with you.
That would be wonderful, guys, and I appreciate your show. It's a great show, and appreciate being on it.
Thanks again,
Bill.
Thank
you, Bill. I really appreciate the pictures and stuff.
Yep.
He's drooling.
Yeah, I'm drooling. I'm jealous, but I'm really glad to see that it's in that kind of condition.
And please thank your son for all of the technical help, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye, Bill. All right, we're going to move on with our show now, and time now for Jeep Trails, in Wheel Time's weekly look into the world of Jeeping. Mr. Mars always has that for us.
Yes, sir, I do. It's going to be tough to follow that. But one thing I did learn over the last week, I was out looking at Jeep and looking at some of the Jeep performance parts through Mopar. And there's actually a page out there that you can go into, and you can pick the type of vehicle that you've got from Jeep. I picked the Wrangler Sahara because it's pretty popular out there on the world. But you can actually look at what some of these things that you can get from Mopar look like. For example, if you want to put on the Compass spare cover, you can put it on there and you can see what it would look like on your vehicle. You want to put on the tubular side pipes or something, you can put that on there and see what it looks like. So you can take a lot of these accessories virtually, put them on your vehicle, and see what they're going to look like, so that if you want to customize it, and whenever you get it from the dealer, some of this stuff you could roll into the financing, and if you did it right, and you could really do a lot of things, and this is just some simple examples of that, with the side steps, the 17-inch off-road wheels, some cargo trays that are in there.
Well, what a cool app, though. This way you can see what it would look like after you spent all that money on the upgrades.
You don't have to just visualize it, because there's so many Jeeps out there and so many people have done so much. It's easy to get a lot of ideas, and you can kind of see how they can mix and match to work together.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Coming up next, This Week in Automotive History and Inside the Mystery Garage. All next here on the In Wheel Time Car Show. We are All Things Automotive.
When might you be buzzed? When you suddenly love everything.
You guys, I love this song. I love these nachos. I love our kickball league. Ugh! I love this guy. What's your name? You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I love your car. Is this real leather?
A social distancing tip.
Putting distance between yourself and others is critical to slowing the spread of coronavirus. So here are ways to stay in contact without the physical contact part. Call, send a text, set up a video conference, post on social media, dedicate a song on the radio. If you have symptoms of fever, dry cough, and shortness of breath, call your healthcare provider before going to their office. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part, because we're all #alone together. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
It's your All Things Automotive Weekly Car Talk Show in real time. A reminder that we are live on the In Wheel Time website, on YouTube and Facebook, each and every Saturday between the hours of 10 a.m. and noon Central. And we thank you for riding with us today. Time now for the Mystery Garage. And this is my Mystery Garage today. Well, we had it up there.
It was. Here it comes. It's going to come back. Bring it back, Jeffrey.
Yeah. So we'll wait for it to come back, and hopefully it will.
Yeah. Hello, Jeff. There we go.
There it is. All right. Thank you very much. So I thought that this was a unique garage because if this were a two-car garage, which I believe it is, it just doesn't appear that way, it's tight for a two-car garage.
Yes.
My guess is that this is probably a one-car garage because of the stuff that the guys got in it.
A large one-car
But I think
garage.
that everybody can really relate to this because clearly the guys got children. And the main tip-off there is the blue wagon on the right-hand side over there. There's also a tricycle right in the front, and then a bicycle over to the left. But I want you
and
to
a
look.
yellow pogo stick.
But I want you to look at how he's arranged the garage in such a way that it's easy to get the car or cars in the garage, have all of the storage up toward the front of the garage, so you can stick the nose of the garage up there toward the storage area and be able to get out of the car. Notice the door to the house is over there on the right-hand side, and there's a step up over there, and he's got 1, 2, 3, probably 4 storage shelves, and those are those plastic, cheap storage shelves, but look at the stuff that he's got on there and how he's got it arranged. Pretty easy, simple stuff to do. His car wash stuff is over there on the right-hand side. Right in front of the refrigerator is the vacuum, the shop vac. He's got the parents' bicycles hanging up in the ceiling up above the workbench, which is right in front of the window and the back door to the backyard. You'll also notice he's got a John boat hanging from the ceiling up there in the upper left-hand corner. It's kind of hard to see right there above the garage door. Electrical is over there on the left-hand side. It's wide open, so you can get to that when you pop a fuse after you've tried to, use too much electricity.
Don, it's 2020. It's a circuit breaker. They haven't used fuses for 40 years.
Yeah, you haven't been to my mother's house, have you?
Does she still have fuses?
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
You can't sell it because it won't pass code.
Really?
Probably not.
Why?
Because it won't pass code. I mean,
It's still a way to.
Maybe it's grandfathered in. I don't know, but
she's not worried about.
Jeff
selling.
says Kathy has a fuse and it's short.
All I can tell you is that this to me is the typical middle America garage that most of us, I think, can relate to. Nothing fancy about it. Notice that he did paint the floor. He's got the nice walls are painted in there. So it's kind of a room unto itself. And I know that there are a lot of garages, in especially in certain areas of Houston, where the garage is unfinished. They're not sheetrocked walls. You just got the studs there.
Most of them, yeah.
And, you don't have to sheetrock the entire garage. You can put hangers up. I know that a house that I had here in Sugar Land, it was an uninsulated detached garage, but it was part of the ambiance of the garage not to have sheetrocked walls, and it sure made it easy to hang stuff.
Yeah, because you knew where the studs were.
Yeah, and you pounded up a board and you put holes in it and you put hangers for all your tools. It was easy. Yeah, so there is that. So that's today's Mystery Garage. All right. Hey, I want to remind everybody that if you're a member of a car, truck, or Jeep club, we'd like to put your bunch in our car club spotlight. All you have to do is shoot us an email with the contact information to info@inwheeltime.com. Time now for this week in auto history.
In 1894, Elwood Haynes successfully tested.
Elwood
Haynes,
Jake's
brother. A 1-horsepower, 1-cylinder vehicle that went 6 or 7 miles an hour in Kokomo, Indiana. It was the first automobile ever built, and it's the oldest American-made automobile in existence, and the vehicle still exists, and it's in the Smithsonian Institute. In 1919, Ford Motor Company reorganized itself and declared itself a corporation in Delaware. Again, we've talked about Delaware being the place everybody incorporates because of the tax benefits of it. In 1928, Chrysler Corporation introduced Plymouth as its newest car of the day as a car line, and what they were trying to do is introduce a car line that was priced below the Dodge, Chrysler, Chevy, and Fords, and Plymouth was its entry-level vehicle. In 1937, Henry Ford initiated the 32-hour work week for his factory workers, which was quite revolutionary back in those days. In 1951, Gordon Buring of South Bend, Indiana, received the patent for a vehicle. You keep messing with my volume, and
well, I'm trying to make it work. So.
Gordon Buring in South Bend, Indiana, received a patent for vehicle top construction that he had the patent in 1951, but it wasn't released until the 1968 Corvette Stingray called the T-Top. So he had that patent for, 16, 17 years. In 1955, the Federal Air Pollution Act was implemented to study and research the casual analysis and control of car pollution. And it's advanced ever since. And then in 1962, the United States Patent Office issued the Swedish engineer Nils Bolin a patent for a 3-point automobile safety harness, which we now look at as seat belts. So he received the patent in 1962, and then it became mandatory in 1968 in American-built vehicles. And he was a previous Volvo engineer who come out of the aviation industry and became an automotive engineer.
All right, time now for a few of the headlines making big news this week. Fiat Chrysler said Friday it would recall about 925,000 older model vehicles in the U.S. to replace airbag covers on their steering wheels after 14 potentially related injuries. Recall covers 2007 to 2011 Dodge Nitro SUVs. I don't ever see those anymore, do you?
No.
And 2008 to 2010 Chrysler Town & Country and Dodge Grand Caravan minivans. Put your VIN number into safercar.gov and you can find out.
And this is a different recall than all the other airbags.
It has nothing to do with the actual airbag itself. This is the cover.
It became a projectile.
Yeah.
With the airbag popped.
Yeah. So keep that in mind. Also, Ford Motor Company's top executive has pushed back against some employees calling for the top seller of vehicles to U.S. police departments to exit the business.
Yeah, the Ford Interceptor, all those ones you've seen burned in the riot videos.
CEO Jim Hackett sent more than a 600-word letter to senior staff in response to messages he's received from within and outside Ford ranks to reconsider producing police vehicles. Really? Hackett, 65, said that while he and Executive Chairman Bill Ford support the Black Lives Matter movement and believe police should operate with more transparency and accountability, first responders play an extraordinarily important role in the vitality and safety of our society. He says, it's our belief the recent issues surfacing from the George Floyd tragedy and bringing a very intensive and necessary spotlight on police training and reform. It's not controversial that Ford Police Interceptor vehicles help officers do their job, Hackett wrote, but he pushed back against the notion that supporting police accountability and producing vehicles for departments across the U.S. are mutually exclusive. This issues plaguing police credibility have nothing to do with the vehicles that they are driving, according to Mr. Hackett.
Yeah, and the Ford Interceptor, that's the name they give it, is actually based off of the Ford Explorer.
Yeah. So I just wanted to pass that along. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with the second half of our show right after this.
A crying baby is impossible to ignore, but a quiet baby can be easy to forget. Every year, dozens of children lose their lives because otherwise attentive adults forgot they were in the back seat. It only takes a moment for a car to heat up to dangerous levels, even on cooler days. So get in the habit of always looking in the back seat and use reminders to ensure baby is always with you. Where's baby? Look before you lock. Paid for by NHTSA.
Social distancing slows the spread of coronavirus, so stay a minimum of 6 feet away from others and stay home if you can. More info at coronavirus.gov. Let's all do our part, because we're all #AloneTogether. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Hello, everybody, from Studio A in Texas. It's hour number 2 of the All Things Automotive Car Talk Show in wheel time. Just ahead, we continue our Mustang Mania show with the Mustang marketing guy, Jim Owens. In our new car showroom is the 2020 Ram 1500 Lone Star. We'll take you for a ride, and later our Ram Tracks feature, along with the stories making automotive news headlines this week. That and more just ahead on the In Wheel Time Car Show. Howdy, along with Mike out of This World Mars and King Conrad DeLong. I'm Don Armstrong. Glad that you could join us today. We really appreciate it. Is Jim ready to go yet?
We got a little audio problem.
Oh, we've got an audio problem. Okay. Well, at any rate, I did want to tell you another automotive news story while we're waiting for Jim Owens to get fixed up there so we can hear him. According to data released this week by the Small Business Administration, 12,693 new car dealerships collectively received between $6.97 billion and $10.36 billion in PPP loans. That figure represents about 76% of the 16,682 dealerships in the U.S., according to NADA's year-end 2019 count, and does not include those that took loans that were less than $150,000. Jared Allen, Vice President of Communications for the National Automobile Dealers Association, said, in fact, every dealer NADA has heard from who received a PPP loan has used it to keep employees on the payroll and or bring back furloughed or terminated employees, even though economic conditions would have otherwise forced those dealers to make drastic and permanent workforce reductions. So
yeah, a lot of the service departments stayed open during this because they were considered essential just to keep vehicles on the road. A lot of sales departments have taken a beating, as far as employees goes. And
it's been tough. And now here in Texas, for those that are listening outside the state, we're kind of in a crisis mode right now. We haven't gone back to level 1 that we were, but the governor has warned that if the COVID doesn't stop expanding and infecting more people, that we may go back to level 1 conditions where basically everything is shut down.
Right. Except for essential stuff.
Except for essential stuff. So we're keeping our fingers crossed that that doesn't happen.
Wash your hands. Wear a mask when you're in a crowded area. Do your social distancing thing. It's everything to keep you safe and everybody around you safe as well.
Yeah.
If you have a sniffle or a sneeze, stay home. Don't go to work. Don't share what you've got. We're kind of trying to burn a little time, waiting for Mike to get the video up and running.
Are we ready?
Almost.
Okay.
One of the other things in the news was that a federal judge has dismissed a case General Motors brought against Fiat Chrysler Automobiles with Sergio Marconi for conducting a bribery scheme with United Auto Workers when GM had the strike a year ago.
Sergio Marconi, okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That GM alleged that Marchioni was working with the UAW to make sure they had a big strike on General Motors, thinking that there was a benefit to FCA on that, and the federal judge totally dismissed it and said horse hockey. I don't think he said horse hockey, but
I like horse hockey, and I hope that he said horse hockey.
The American equivalent of that.
Yeah. So this is our Mustang Mania show, and we're going to try to continue that because right now we have on the line with us Mr. Jim Owens, Ford Motor Company's marketing manager for the Mustang, the Shelby, and the new Mustang Mach 1. Howdy, Jim. It's good to see you. How have you been?
I'm doing great. It's good to hear and see you guys. Well, I know Texas is under a little bit of COVID watch, and I heard what you guys were saying, and for those of the people around the world and around the United States celebrating Mustang at car shows, they should listen to what you guys were saying.
Well, it's sure a pleasure to have you. I haven't seen you in years. I think it was the last trip to Detroit that you guys sent me up there, and I don't even remember what the car was, but it was something spectacular. But today we're going to focus on Mustang. And, Mustang, I think, really has been Mustang and Ford go together like peanut butter and jelly. How's that from Texas?
That sounds absolutely perfect. Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, Mustang and Ford are synonymous, kind of like the F-Series, right? Between, when you think of Ford Motor Company, beyond the Ford family, and, a lot of the things that Ford Motor Company has done over the years, you think of Mustang and you think of the F-Series.
Oh, and Texas is truck country as well. So we see lots of F-Series trucks out here on the road.
And you guys are still making and still in partnership with Shelby to make the Shelby. Now we got not only the 350, but we got the 500. And let's talk today, if you don't mind, about something that you guys just announced recently.
Your newest toy.
Yeah, the Mustang Mach 1 is coming back. So tell me about the Mach 1 and what makes it different from a regular Mustang.
Well, and you guys know me well enough. I mean, I've been doing Mustangs since Gen 4, worked for Carroll Shelby directly from 07 through 11 before he passed away, came back to launch, the 50 years Mustang, the Boss 302. But one of the vehicles that we have not done since Gen 4, 03, 04 is the Mach 1. And we're so excited to bring it back. I know your listeners, are Mustang enthusiasts and fans and car fans. Mach 1 means a little bit different things to each person, right? Because if you think about it,
yes,
right, back in '69, when Mach 1 was coming out, that first year we sold 77,000 units and only 6,000 of the Mustang GT. Mach 1, basically the nameplate replaced the Mustang GT until, almost the Fox body. And it means different things to different people. The 03, 04, that shaker hood, the 69 are my favorite, the 71 with that, flat sports roof line. I use a lot of user IDs as, 19 Mach 1 71. But it means something different. And, we thought with this generation, coming back Gen 6 in 2015, that, Tom Barnes and Nick Terzis and our engineering team had learned enough about the platform that it was time to bring the Mach 1 back.
Amen.
Well, yeah. So what explain to me the Mach 1 package, if you will.
Yeah, I will. And if we have time, if you don't mind, back in the 60s, we wanted to recognize Jaeger breaking the sound barrier, right? And glamorous goodness, right? And that era, if you think about it, Ford was involved in aerospace at the time and, helped put men on the moon. So what we did is we learned from our aero, and Mach 1 at the time was a combination of choices of aero, choices of powertrain, and choices of performance. And, basically 50 plus years later, we're back at it again with this 2021 Mach 1. The first one, like some of the pictures that you guys have seen, is the Fighter Jet Gray appearance package.
Right, yes.
Love it.
And we launched it in Tulsa, Oklahoma at the Mid-America Ford and Shelby meet back in June. But that Fighter Jet Gray is only available on that appearance package Mustang. We're not offering it anywhere else on the platform. And visually, it has the stripes with the orange on the side that draws the line with that big black Mach 1 between, we've got those hood vents on the front, and the dome. So you have to fit it in there, and it makes you look straight down the line. So we do have appearance, just like we did in the 60s, but we also have powertrain choice. So what we end up doing is, you can order it as a base with a handling package. You can order it with a base with an auto. You can order it with the upgraded, what we're going to call the 700A package, with the 10-speed auto on 480 horsepower and 425 foot-pounds of torque.
Yeehaw!
I want that.
Yeah, and it's 4.5-inch pipes out the back.
Jeez.
So
wait a minute, isn't that the size of the 1-pound coffee can?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, if you think of the Mustang lineup, you had the Bullet in 20, and those had about 3.5-inch pipes. You had the GT 350, right? Flat plane crank, 5.2 liter, just 8250 RPM tack, just a beautiful noise coming out of a 4-inch pipe. Then the GT 500, I don't know if you guys have seen it. just monstrous 5.5-inch pipes. So the Mach 1 fits just a little bit in between there. So it makes music. You know, you have the B&O sound system as an option, but
I'd rather listen to the engine.
Exactly. But we're really excited about it because you can choose both personalization from the colors and the interiors and the exterior, just like you could in the 60s. Then you can also choose powertrain, and it will end up being, I can't say, you know, we haven't certified, and I'd love to use the word that begins with F and ends with T and, you know, talks about this, how quick things are, but I'm going to say it's the pinnacle of 5-liter production performance.
Yeah.
Both in a straight line and on a road course. People are going to be amazed with how this car.
So the only thing that you didn't mention is the availability of the radio and heater delete package, and we're waiting for that to happen too.
So, you know, I just got back from the Autobahn Country Club in Joliet this past week, and we did a Shelby GT 500 track tour. So we invite owners and current owners, competitive make owners, dealers, local media to come out and drive the cars. And one of the things that we talked about, I had Gary Patterson from Shelby American with us as well. And, you know, Gary would sit there and start saying, and, you know, the 67 GT 500 had creature comforts like AM radio, roll up windows. Yeah, so we don't have those deletes. We do have the rear seat delete in the handling package as an option. So just like the GT350R or the GT500 carbon fiber track package, you can get that rear seat delete if all you want to do is seriously track that car.
So you're going to go ahead and let me go ahead and take the heater and the radio out of it myself. It'll be a personal option.
Yeah, you know, we tried that. I don't know if you remember the GT350R when we launched it in 2015. That base model had no AC and no radio. And, you know, that goes back to the competition model that Carroll did. Remember, they called it competition model. It wasn't an R until later in the vernacular.
Right.
But that car had no AC, no radio, no wiring. We tried to do that with the GT350, and we actually had about 3% of the people actually order it that way.
Heck yeah.
A couple of them in Houston. Now, I will tell you.
Oh, my gosh.
In the racing suits,
brutal.
It gets a little warm in there.
Yeah, to say the least. Yeah. So when is the Mach 1 out now? Is it available now, or is it available?
It will be available as a 21 model year, and we're going to be doing it. We're saying spring of 2021.
Gotcha.
You know, we're hedging our bets a little. We hope it'll be sooner. But it will be a 21 model year. You know, with our plant and being safe in Michigan, we did shut down all of our assembly plants for about 68 days. And, you know, we're catching up with the 20 model year, but we're really confident that it'll be spring, and we're hoping that it's earlier.
Well, I have to admit to you that I did talk to Ken Peabody, who handles your press fleet up in Dallas. I said, hey, Ken, what you got going? He says, well, I just got word that I could start delivering press vehicles again. I said, you got any Mustang? Well, don't have any Mustangs at the moment, but I'm hoping to be getting one. So I'm putting my word in with the factory right now that I sure would like to have one of those Mach 1s, Jim.
Come springtime.
Yeah. Exactly.
In the springtime, for sure. But what we've been doing with the cleaning, and you talked about it at the beginning of this hour when we were talking, like when we did the track tour this week, we used a CDC-approved chemical that went in, sat in there for 8 minutes, sprayed entirely through the car, cleaning 100%, well, 99.9% of every microbial, including like H1N1, COVID-19, all of them. Didn't put a person in the car until after it went through that. And then we used this thing called Sonobox for the helmets. And that's UV light. So everybody who put on a helmet and went into the car were going into one that was completely free.
Sanitized.
And they could feel comfortable in it.
Yeah.
Well, good for you. Congratulations. It's great that you take care of the press as well as your consumers that you're bringing out to let them taste the future of Ford. Any idea of the production numbers on the Mach 1?
So, you know, I mean, I always like to say limited production, right? We've done number announcing on 3 vehicles since I've launched, right? Remember the old initial Cobra R?
Yeah.
We did it on the 1964 limited edition, right? We said we were going to build 1964 and a half, and we still have that half buck. It sits in the design studio. We did say that we would do 3,000 of the base bosses and 750 of the Laguna Secas. And then in 15, we also said we would do 37 of the Rs and 50 of the track pack and 50 of the tech pack. The remainder of the vehicles we say limited. We have an idea of what we can produce. It will not be to consumer demand, so that when those customers buy it, they have the opportunity to know that they are part of an exclusive club that includes the chassis badge with their chassis number on it, just like Carol's old CSM number.
Which holds value for those consumers who do get one early in the show.
It's exactly right, right? You know, if you think about it, it's, you know, our hallmarks have always been exclusivity, value, and substance. That substance has always been performance. The value is the fact that we're going to be beating cars 2 and 3 times its price point. And then the exclusivity is part of that. Hey, you're part of the Mustang family, but we will limit the production to ensure that that vehicle is exclusive for you and now and in the future.
Jim, I don't know how you got your job, but you know that there's a line behind you that's probably including at least us, if nothing else.
The very minimum.
Yeah, but there's at least 1,000 other guys right behind us that watch your job, and I know you realize that.
I am blessed,
yes.
Right? I mean, I'm absolutely blessed, and I know that. But as I told my kids, right, I have 3 daughters, 23, 20, and 18. I said, you have to find something that you absolutely love to do. And so I have found since 1999 a way to keep track time in my job description.
Oh, how cool. So do all 3 of your daughters drive Mustangs?
All 3 of them. Right now, I have an F-Series, an Escape, and 2 Mustangs. Okay. They all learned how to drive manual transmissions.
All right. Hey.
One in a Terlingua V6 when I was working for Carol.
Okay.
Right, the Paxton-based supercharged Terlingua V6. One in a Boss 302 and one in a Shelby GT 500.
Oh, how cool is that?
Yeah, why go to a Ford Escape to learn how to drive when you got that at hand?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, Jim, it's great to talk to you. We certainly appreciate you taking the time out of your Saturday to talk to us. Tell all of our friends up there at Ford Motor Company in Dearborn that we said hello, and let's stay in touch and keep in touch with us and let us know what you got coming.
Absolutely. And as soon as we have that vehicle out there, I'll make sure that the Texas office brings you a set of the keys.
We appreciate it, Jim. God bless. Stay safe and stay healthy, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks.
Thanks.
All right, the Jim Owens
GTG,
with
BRB,
Ford.
OMW,
We'll be right back.
be there in a few. You may think that these kinds of texts are fine because of their length, and you can easily send them at a stoplight. But no, answering one text can take your attention away from the road for 5 seconds. And traveling at 55 miles an hour, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Make good decisions. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
It's kind of a little yacht rock, eh? Don't you think it's rot yacht?
Well, I like the piano concerto there.
Rot yacht.
Rot yacht?
Something like that, yeah. Anyway, welcome back to the In-Wheel Time program. We thank you. Be sure and stay in touch with us all week long by following us on Facebook, YouTube, and through InWheelTime.com. Each and every week, we invite you to join us for our live 2-hour show, 10 a.m. to noon Central. And we are thoroughly enjoying our hot Saturday morning here in Houston, Texas. Dumb me. I forgot to turn on the air conditioner out here in Studio A last night, and I usually try to make it a point to come out here. So at least it's got a 12-hour cool-down period. Guess what?
He fired it up this morning, and we're all sitting here sweating.
I forgot. I can't. Me? Forget anything? No. Time now for this hour's car review. Mr. Mars has a look at the Ram 1500 Lone Star.
Yes, sir, did. Now, this is a full-size pickup truck with a crew cab. So we're talking about a full-size vehicle. And that's really what a lot of people are buying now. The idea of buying a regular truck, regular cab truck, They're still available, but most people are going to buy that as a work truck.
Hold on just a minute while I fix this.
Hold that thought. I'm going to fix this while you're fixing that.
Here we go.
All right, so again, the full-size pickup truck. This is the Lone Star Crew Cab. Now, it is the Lone Star. It's called the Bighorn Edition in other parts of the country, but this is Texas. So we've got the Lone Star State. We've got the Lone Star Edition of the Crew Cab 4x4. And the one that we had was flame red. This baby was red. Every place you look, red. Little chrome,
I've
red.
been told that I was flaming before, but I can semi-relate.
But I think it was more of a beige or a pinkish type thing. But anyway.
And his red pumps.
Yeah, they would look good at this vehicle. So if you're looking at it, up front you're going to see that we had all the LED lighting packages, the reflector headlamps, the fog lamps, the tail lights are LED. We had the power folding side mirrors on the outside of it, the black tube side steps, which you needed on this vehicle because it does set up a little bit.
Somebody's been smoking.
We had the off-road package, so that included skid plates for the transfer case, the fuel case. And I thought it was interesting they even have a skid plate under the steering gear for this vehicle.
You've got to protect everything.
Yeah, I agree. I just thought it was rather interesting.
If you're going to invite people to drive the thing off-road, you got to protect everything.
You better be ready. And that's the reason it's got tow hooks to go along with that. We had the Ram Box cargo management system, which included all the tie-downs and stuff inside the bed, had the tri-fold tonneau cover, and it also had the tailgate, the multifunction tailgate that Ram has.
The Dutch doors.
Yes, the Dutch doors.
The double Dutch doors.
My wife, I laughed so hard at my wife trying to figure out how to open the tailgate. Anyway, it was worth a shot. So if you get into the interior of it, we had the front buckets up front, of course, with the center console, which is pretty much standard in the crew cab trucks these days. But we did have cloth material seats that were heated. And that was a little bit different with the power adjustable pedals. So there's this
so you can adjust the distance for the driver as opposed to moving the seat, you move the pedals.
Yes, but generally you find those kind of options packaged together with leather and an upper trim level on the interior. So I thought it was kind of a nice combination there. We had the 7.5-inch digital gauge panel, where they usually would find a digital pod. And then we also had the 8.4-inch Uconnect touchscreen, where you're going to find your Apple CarPlay, Android, all your AC, and all your other convenience controls that are all going to be right there. The other thing I found interesting on the interior of this one, Ram has been known for the under-seat, under-floorboard passenger space storage right behind the driver. Well, this one has two, one on both sides, and you can make these things lockable if you want them. And it also had a reclining rear seat, 60/40 fold-up seat, but it's got the storage underneath it as well. So there's a lot of storage options inside this vehicle.
Lots of places to lose stuff because
exactly, because there's so much stuff in there, and where you want to put this, and you got to have a map like a treasure hunt. Now, up under the hood, we had the 5.7-liter V8 with the e-torque system on it. So this baby's got plenty of low-end juice on it. 395 horsepower at 5,600 RPM if you wind it up a little bit. 410 pound-feet of torque at 3950. So you get into that mid-range, and you still got plenty of juice there with that 8-speed automatic transmission. Properly equipped, this vehicle is rated to tow 12,750 pounds with a haul rating of 2,300 in a half-ton truck. I mean, we're talking 1-ton capacity and a half-ton when it's properly equipped. The EPA says you should be looking for about 17 miles per gallon in the city, 22 on the highway, 19 combined. Now, for the week that I had it, I spent some time out on the highway. I did get 19 out of it for my overall week on that thing. And I thought that was pretty good.
And the e-torque is pretty unobtrusive. You really don't notice it, do you?
You don't notice it unless you really try and pay attention to it, because to me it shifts a little bit softer. There's some different points in it.
That's because you're getting the electric assist in the shift
because
point.
it just doesn't happen on its own in the transmission. The other thing that was really cool about this, it had a 392 gear in the rear end. So again, with that e-torque, lots of bottom end power. And with the air suspension on the ride out on the highway, it was nice and smooth. You really had a driver feel of confidence when you're driving this vehicle, and you're ready to go, and you're ready to roll. So if you're looking for something to compete with this, you're looking probably at the F-150 that's going to start at around $35,000 in the crew cab package. The GMC, GM Twins, again, 1500 series in a crew cab, around $36,000 to get started. About the other one out there is the Toyota Tundra. Starts at $33,000, but a base Ram crew cab that that you're looking at with the V8 and equipped like this is $34,775. Now the base test vehicle that we had was $42,640, and the MSRP as tested was $62,575, which again sounds like a lot, but just like the other review we had earlier, by the time you option these vehicles up, and people get the kind of things they want them to make these daily drivers instead of just a pickup truck to haul hay, these are some nice vehicles.
All right, thank you, sir. It's the In Wheel Time Car Show is what you're tuned to on whatever platform you're watching us, whether it's YouTube, whether it is Facebook. We welcome all of our special Ford Mustang Mania folks that are tuning in today. And we'd like to remind you to be sure and join us live for each and every In Wheel Time show, Saturday, 10 a.m. to noon Central. And we thank you for riding along with us today. So one of our contributing editors here at the In Wheel Time Car Show is Mr. Jim Nelson. And coming up on Monday evening, Ford Motor Company is going to debut the all-new Ford Bronco. And how many decades has it been since they made the Bronco? Well, we're going to find out about all of that. So let's just join Mr. Jim Nelson right now, as a matter of fact. Jim, hey, it's great to talk to you, and thanks so much for joining us, Jim.
Good morning. Hey, my backdrop, my green screen, if you're on Facebook and Zoom here, is a profile of the new, really all new Bronco from the Ford folks. And that was 1996, by the way. Bronco was around from 66 to 96. And then it went away, sadly, to the serious angst of an awful lot of fans. And they've been waiting for several years to get themselves a new Bronco.
Well,
as a matter of fact, I'll start out talking about, I'm holding up here, guys, my $100 bill.
Yes.
If you see it.
Yes, we see it.
On Monday night, you can reserve one for a refundable $100 deposit, and you can do it online at the reveal, which is 7 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern. So get out your money. And Mike, my wife doesn't know I have this $100 hidden, so please don't tell her.
We won't tell her.
Yeah, she's not watching the show, right?
No, she's elsewhere.
Good. Well, well, we're glad to hear that. So it's Moneybags Nelson. And are you going to put your $100 down on Monday?
I think I'm going to. We're sitting here with 7 models that are being offered between 2-door and 4-door configurations. There will even be a Bronco Sport version, which I understand is more crossover based rather than truck on frame based. Ford's done a pretty good job of hiding the real details. The blogs have just been a fire with everybody's speculation about engines, transmissions, performance specs, and so on and so forth. So I think Monday night on what is an industry first reveal over the Disney Media Network channels, the whole world's going to find out. So media doesn't really have a first look at this. All of us have a first look at this, and so we encourage our listeners and our viewers here at In Wheel Time, tune in. You can find out.
And I will tell you, we're working with Ford. We may be able to put this on our Facebook and our YouTube page come Monday night.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. I kind of figured that we would. Jim, what we have seen are these teasers, kind of like what's behind you right now, but we've seen the front grille of it, and it is a retro-looking front grille, and thank God that they've kept that and not done what Chevrolet did with the Blazer, the current Blazer, and it looks like all the rest of them out there. This is going to have that retro kind of modernized version
it's a Bronco.
Of what we figure is the Bronco.
But it's also the modernized version of the Gen 1 Bronco, not the later version of the Bronco, which was based off an F-150.
Correct.
So really, they're really targeting that original Bronco passionate owner, and there's lots of people today that still have the passion for that generation Bronco, because I see them in a lot of shops.
Well, I have to tell you this, that I saw a version of a Jay Leno garage show where it was a joke. One of the comedian friends of his played on him and left him this junker old first-gen Bronco in his parking spot at KNBC in L.A., where at the time that's where they were filming The Tonight Show. And he took that and completely redid it, restored it to brand new condition, and everybody and his mother would want to have it because he stuck a Coyote engine in it. But everything else, you could not tell that the engine was in it, but that thing would fly.
Hey, Jim, I was going to ask you, too, In the picture you've got there in the profile, looks like the doors are removed.
Doors are removable. They've got themselves a patented design for doing that. They've really covered all the bases on the first go-around here. There are approximately 3 different types of top you can get on this, all of them removable, some of them partial, some of them not. There are some screen tops, there are canvas tops, there are half tops. So they're coming out the door with all the whiz bangs. As a matter of fact, there are upwards of 200, if not more, accessory items already out there from Ford that you can add to this vehicle. And I spoke to some of those in the article I wrote, I think it was on Thursday, where I talked about accessorizing your new Bronco.
Well, that's pretty smart in that class. Everybody wants to accessorize it so they make it unique to themselves.
So you got removable doors, you got a spare tire on the back of it, you got a profile that's kind of boxy, you got 200 options from the factory. What does that remind you of, Jim?
It reminds me of the original Bronco, to be honest.
Well, I was thinking about the Jeep, the current Jeep status.
The Jeep Wrangler. Yeah, that's all about the Jeep Wrangler.
Yeah, Wranglers pretty much owned that category niche for a long time. And this is the first straight-up Challenger. And
that's exactly what it looks like.
Jim, any ideas, any thoughts about what size engines they're going to offer in this?
There's going to be 2 initially, a 2.3 single turbo, which would be similar or probably the same engine as is in the Ranger. And then there will be a 2.7 liter EcoBoost, similar engine that they offer in the F-150. We don't have horsepower and torque numbers for those as yet, but I would expect they will be similar. There is also chatter out there, relatively confirmed, to expect a hybrid at some point, as well as possibly an EV, electric version. I wouldn't expect that for a year or two, but as they have been telling us, they're bringing a Bronco brand to market. So it's going to have everything, including the kitchen sink and even a Gladiator fighter sometime towards 2024.
So when you put your $100 down, are you going to be able to place your order with that $100 right then and there? And if so, are you going to get the 2-door or the 4-door? And what size engine you're going to get, Jim?
When they've been a little vague on placing that order on Monday night, although it's refundable. And they are going to ask you to tell them whether you want a Sport, which is the crossover version, or one of the regular Broncos. They're going to ask you whether your primary interest is 2-door or 4-door. There may be a couple of other things that they ask you, but those are not locked in positions. They will come back to you later and ask you if you're still on board, and if so, would you like to start trying to build the one that you've placed in order?
How exciting! I mean, this is exciting stuff. This is like going to the new car showroom back in October and looking at all of the new American models.
Waiting for them to pull the curtains open so you can see them.
Jim, thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate it, and we're looking forward to your comments after we get to see it on Monday night on the internet. Okay?
Let's make sure we tell the listeners and our watchers here. Go to the In Wheel Time website. The article I posted yesterday on Friday tells you exactly where you can go to watch these reveals. They're on separate networks. And if you really want to see them all, you probably have to wait until they're done. And then you can go over to Ford.com, or you can go over to Hulu, and you can see them again and get additional information.
We love you, Jim. Thanks for talking to us. We'll see you soon.
Care,
all right. Take care. Jim
Nelson.
Nelson.
What teens just love? Not being told what you're supposed to love. That's not anyone's business but yours. It doesn't matter what you love, but if you love it, click it. That includes you too. Because in 2018, 42% of Texas teens who died in traffic crashes were not wearing their seatbelts. Make sure everyone is buckled up. Every rider, every ride. Brought to you by the Texas Department of Transportation.
Texas Truck Works is your go-to truck customizer. From mild-to-wild lift kits, custom wheels, and steering and handling enhancements to the best personal and commercial wraps, Texas Truck Works delivers. Let Texas Truck Works founder Scott Stevens help you get the most out of your truck or Jeep. Texas Truck Works has decades of customizing experience, including power adders and complete engine swaps. Let the Texas Truckworks team design an upgrade plan that fits your budget. Get truck attitude today at texastruckworks.com. Hello, everybody. It's In Wheel Time, your weekly award-winning live car talk show. Just ahead, we continue Mustang Mania weekend and talk about Mustang clubbing. We also have our Ram Tracks feature, Conrad's Car Clinic, and today's auto news, all just ahead in this segment of the In Wheel Time car show. Along with Mike out of this world Mars down there, King Conrad DeLong right here, Don Armstrong here, sitting over in the corner, you can't see him, is our audio video director. And that would be Mr. Jeff Zekin. So if there's any problems, blame it on him.
That's why he's sitting in the corner off stage.
That's exactly right. We don't mess around here. All right, is Randy ready?
Yes, sir.
Randy's ready. Okay, so Northside Mustang Club, ladies and gentlemen, here he is, Mr. Randy Weldon, looking smart and fit today. Hi, Randy.
Hey guys, how you doing this morning?
Well, we're doing great. It's good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us today. So we want to talk about, first of all, let's talk about clubbing and Mustangs. Because, you know, I think that probably in every town that has a population that has at least one Mustang, somewhere in that town is going to be somebody that's going to be either a member of a Mustang club or wants to be a member of the Mustang club. Am I right or wrong?
Very, very true. Yes, they like to get them together. They like to get with people that like the things they like.
So let me talk to you momentarily. First of all, what kind of Mustangs do you have?
Sitting in a driveway right now, I've got a 97 GT and I've got a 2010 little V6 convertible.
So I knew you'd have more than one. How did I know that?
So which one did you bring to the meet last night?
Actually, I took my truck last night.
Of course you did.
I had my little miniature schnauzer out there with us. Had Chloe out there, so she doesn't like the top down.
You know, you were always the rebel rouser in school, and we know your type. So if there was anybody that would go against the grain, that would be Randy to bring the truck instead of the car.
But we also know that you are a Mustang maniac, and that's kind of why we had you on
Yeah,
today.
and that's what I wanted to really kind of focus in on, the fact that, you know, the Mustang Club, especially the Northside Mustang Club, is a club for everyone. And it's all inclusive. It doesn't make any difference what year Mustang that you own. It doesn't make any difference whether you're a 20-year-old, a 30, or a 50, or a 90-year-old. Everybody's welcome, and that's really kind of what clubbing, car clubbing, and in particular Mustang clubbing is all about, isn't it?
It really is. I mean, that was the whole idea in growing the club, was to make sure everybody felt welcome. We don't care what your car looks like. We don't care how old you are. As long as you love Mustangs, and even if you don't have a Mustang, but you love a Mustang, get together, get out there with us. Enjoy each other's company. You know, it's the cars that bring you together, but it's the people after you're brought together that keep each other in touch and uplifted, and you enjoy being around each other.
So, Randy, how is this whole COVID-19 distancing and the whole mess? It's tough to get together these days.
It is. It's a challenge. It's pretty much shut everything down. So I know Mustang Club of Houston on June 14th had a car show. But you start looking at the rise of the COVID-19 thing, and it's starting to shut everything down again. So you've got a newly formed club on the south side of town who is they're holding a Facebook Live meeting today with all of its members. And I think that's an innovative thought approach on this thing. And I think you'll see that taking off more, where clubs are getting together via live streaming. You know, but it's a challenge. I mean, we've got some people right now with Montgomery County automotive enthusiasts that are over at Newman's Castle in Bellevue. They did a cruise this morning, but getting that together is difficult. You've got a track event out at MSR Houston, but like when Jim was on a second ago and they were talking about doing Mid-America, they brought factory cars down. They had one of the drivers here in Houston, Ed Hockaday, with Mustang Club of America, go up to drive the factory cars. They put anybody in the factory cars. Even MSR Houston, I contacted one of my good friends that's a driver out there, asked if I could get a ride along with my grandson. And because of COVID-19, you can't get a ride along right now. So, again, it makes it very difficult at this point in time.
Well, you know, all I could think, when we knew we were going to talk to you, one of the things that I thought of was the fact that, you know, as difficult as it is, this is a time, in my mind anyway, that you would want to do all of the stuff that you've been wanting to do to your Mustang, but just didn't have time because you had a meet to go to, you had an event to go to.
Or the kids had something to go to.
So this is a period of time that if you wanted to repaint the fender, you wanted to paint the front half or paint underneath the hood, pull the motor, pull the transmission, pull the rear end, whatever it is that you wanted to do, I think now is the time that a lot of work is getting done that's been put off for quite some time. Do you find that with your club members?
Absolutely correct. I'm seeing a lot of parts replaced, you know, pictures being posted of modifications that are being made, detailing that's being done. You're seeing a lot of that out there.
You're going to ask something? I'm sorry. I interrupted you.
No, that's okay. I was going to talk about when Randy talked about the fellowship and the membership there at the Northside Mustang Club.
Right.
I went to the Ford versus Ferrari movie premiere with them, and they actually invited me to join the club in my yellow car. So I kind of parked a little bit away, but out amongst them, and felt very, very welcome. But it's not just about Mustangs. You had some cool old Fords there as well. I still remember
really
the guy with the blue Fairlane. I think it's a '70 Fairlane station wagon. Which looks like a Torino, but it's a station wagon. Awesome. I mean,
wow,
really
I'd
cool
love to
car.
have that.
Really cool car.
Very good.
And so Randy, what are you doing right now? I mean, obviously, you've got your Facebook page, and you're staying in touch with everybody, and all of our Mustang followers on the In Wheel Time show are in touch with you. And so I guess, what do you talk about? Engine swaps? How to get another 10 horsepower out of the 5-liter? Or I mean, what are you doing?
Well, we don't talk about LS engine swaps.
Well, thank you for that.
Roll that grenade in.
But we do talk about, which sticker will add another 5 horsepower. No, you're seeing a lot of, exhaust changes, or you're seeing a lot of engine modifications.
Tire wheel combinations.
Cold air intakes.
Yeah.
And lots of pictures of Randy's dog.
Lots of pictures of the dog. That's right.
Well, I have to tell you that, and I'm going to admit this in front of God and everybody, that yesterday afternoon, actually earlier this week, I ordered a K&N filter recharge kit
for the vet,
which is basically cleaner and a re-oil for the K&N filter.
Don't over-oil it.
So I got that, and I thought, I'm just going to watch a video. There is a guy out there that takes 10, 15 minutes on what to do and how to do it step by step. I thought, this can't be this difficult. Here I am sitting here with eyes glued, listening to every word that he says, hanging on every note.
Watching everything he's doing.
Learning how to clean an air cleaner. Oh, my God. Who in a million years would have thought that? But I have a feeling that I'm not by myself. Randy Weldon, I'm talking to you. I would imagine that you probably have come across the same stuff and do the same thing that I do.
Oh, absolutely. You have no earthly idea how many hours I've spent watching videos on detailing.
On what?
Clean the car. On detailing the car.
Detailing the car.
Yeah. Paint correction. You name it. I mean, leather restoration, all of it.
Do you find yourself at the grocery store pharmaceutical department looking for specific kinds of Q-tips to detail the car?
Yeah, but I buy them like in a 500 box.
Exactly. See, so I'm not by myself then. I have gone insane, but not to the point where I'm not able to say that I am insane.
We'll say it for you, Don.
Yes, I think everybody already knows that. Randy, it is great to talk to you.
Always.
So how do we get a hold of the Northside Mustang Club? Facebook?
Well, yeah, you can go on Facebook, the Northside Mustang Car Club, or you can go on the website, northsidemustang.org. So either one of those, and you'll gain access there.
But
got public pages, private pages, member-only pages. So there's a few different.
A lot of stuff going on with the Mustangs.
Yeah,
but you're also started a new page for Montgomery County as well, correct?
Yeah, but that's a little bit different. What we're trying to do there, we're taking any make and model car, we're trying to entirety of use, and of having something just on the north side or just on the west side or south side, we're trying to pull all these clubs together. I mean, Don, you walked into the booth at Houston Autorama last year.
Yep.
You were like, this is what needs to happen. You need to pull these car clubs together. Well, that's what we're trying to do. But let's encompass everybody. You've got somebody that loves the Dodge Charger or Challenger. You know, those guys get together. You know, you got somebody that loves the Corvettes or the Camaros. Those guys like to get together. Let's create track events for that. Let's create cruise-ins events for that. You know, if it's on Sugarland or if it's in Baytown or whatever, let's make it happen on all different sections of Houston.
Yeah.
And pull this entire city together and make us huge.
Well, listen, when this COVID thing is over with, I got a feeling we're all going to have a great big car club party. What do you think?
I think so.
Randy, we love you.
Thank you. Get out and get from behind these masks.
We love you. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. It's always a pleasure to talk to you and to see you. And stay safe out there, and we hope to talk to you again soon.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for having me. You all have a good one.
You do the same. Randy Weldon, Northside Mustang. Okay, we got Ram Tracks. We got more coming up right after this break.
911, what's your emergency?
God, there's a train that just hit a car.
Sir, what is your location? Look around for a street sign, sir.
It's 8th and Orchard. 8th and Orchard.
Okay, very good. 8th and Orchard. Sir, help is on the way.
Why would he do that? The train still doesn't stop. You have to get there now.
At a railway crossing, even if the engineer sees you and hits the brakes, it can take a mile for the train to stop. And for you, that's too late. Stop. Trains can't. Paid for by NHTSA.
Can I just say that this show is kind of like riding a bicycle? Because I know how to ride it, but I don't do it but once a week. So I'm a little rusty. Does that make sense?
That's why you have a tricycle.
Yeah.
Keep you balanced.
Exactly. And this is it right here.
We are the tricycle.
Yes, you are. And we appreciate you.
And
for
we
that.
even have training wheels on the tricycle. That's Zekin.
That's Zekin. That's it. That's exactly right. All right, so we got all that. Let's do Ram Tracks, the weekly look into the Ram Nation, Mr. Mars.
So one of the things I was looking at, just like Randy just talked about, is everybody's having to do this social distancing, but everybody still wants to be social. And you know, we're people. We want to do that. So one of the things I was looking at down at Crystal Beach where we go, people do a lot of camping down there now. The families go down there, and everybody stays scattered out, but the family's together. So I was looking at different things you could do without spending a small fortune, and there are some truck bed and tailgate bed tents that you can pick up and put in your Ram truck, and they've got several different types that are listed here. Whether you want to, and you're not having to climb up on top of it. Now, obviously, when you got to get up into the bed, whether you've got the bed step that you can add on. But they've got some that extend up you can walk on. They got some that you got air mattresses that you can put in.
Oh,
they
cool.
extend out. Some of them come out and onto the ground that take up part of the bed as well as on the ground that you can walk into. And almost every one of these things, if you go out there and you buy them from someplace like Amazon, $200 or less. And you're ready to go out. And you can spend the weekend on the beach, in the woods, wherever you want with you and your family and still be out and about without being stuck in the house.
You know what I'm thinking about right now? Back in the day, you used to go to the beach, right?
Yeah.
And in the summertime, you used to go down there flounder gigging.
Yes.
Yeah, all that sort of thing down there in Matagorda Bay, around that area. And it was about this time of the year when the nighttime low temperature was like 90 and the humidity was like 90%. I can only imagine trying to sleep in the bed of a truck in a tent with mosquitoes, the beach eating you alive.
Listening to the waves
look at
crashing.
Look at these. They got zips. They're going to keep the majority of the mosquitoes out if you pay attention. They got 110 plugs in them so that you can plug fans in to keep air circulating in. And I'm telling you, this is so much different than we used to sleep on the beach.
I'm sorry. You are not going to convince me unless it's air conditioned and it's got hot and cold running water and a shower. I ain't in.
Well, that's like saying camping out. His idea of camping out's Motel 6. Glamping. But you can do this and maintain social distancing with your family, and you can still do it at cheap.
Oh, God. All right. Well, thank you, sir, for that.
Well, you had talked earlier about today how hot inside of a car can get when it just sits. 135, 140 degrees, 145 degrees is not unusual. So today's Conrad's Car Corner is about
Clinic.
I'll get that right one of these days. I've only been doing this for 9 years.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Is about how can you make your air conditioning system more efficient. So, you have to think an air conditioning system doesn't create cold air. It's removing hot air as it goes over the evaporator inside the car. So one of the things you want to do is you want to make sure that front grille is not blocked. Some people put these little badges and stuff on their front
grill of the automobile.
Or they put their license plate up in the wrong place. That's blocking airflow over the air conditioning system, so it makes it a little bit less efficient. Make sure what I call bottom breathers. So a lot of cars, the air comes into the radiator under the front bumper. Sometimes you can get a plastic bag. You can get lawn clippings and stuff, and all that gets up there on the radiator and the air conditioning condenser. All of that makes your air conditioning system less effective. So kind of pay attention to that stays clean. That's going to help your air conditioner blow colder. Another thing is, if you can, crack your window a little bit to let a little bit of that hot air out.
I do that every day.
Or crack your sunroof a little bit to let some of that hot air out. Because the car just sitting, see 135, 140 degrees inside the car.
Absolutely.
The other thing is, when you start your car and it is 135 degrees inside, turn it off of recirc, because you're trying to cool 135 degree air. Put it on normal so you're drawing that 105 degree air in from outside, because it's going to cool that better.
I roll down all the windows.
Yeah, and it lets all of that superheated air vent out. So that's pretty important. Another thing is, a car in motion pulls air over the air conditioning system, and it works better that way. If you're sitting in traffic and it's heavy traffic and the car sits there and idles, sometimes you're going to notice the air conditioning doesn't run as efficiently or it doesn't run as cool. So put it in, if you're in dead traffic, put it in neutral, put it in park, and kind of rev the engine up to about 1,200 RPM, and it gets the compressor doing what it's supposed to do, and it'll cool the inside of your car. But one of the simplest things you can do is get a good sunshade for the windshield of the car.
Absolutely.
So when you park the car, and literally you can drop the interior temperature 20 degrees from with a sunshade versus without a sunshade.
So the Corvette's sitting out in front of Studio A right now. It's got a car cover on it. But even though it's got a car cover on it, I also have a front window shade in there, because it helps a lot.
Yeah, that's your biggest exposure to that sun ray coming through.
And it's that basically bakes your dash, so that sunscreen does a nice job of keeping the temperature down, but it's also going to keep you from damaging the interior components of the vehicle.
Exactly. Thank you, sir. Reminder, if you belong to a car, truck, Jeep club, we'd love to feature your group here on the In Wheel Time Car Show. Just send us the info and the contact information to info@inwheeltime.com, and we'll put your bunch in the car club spotlights. Okay, just ahead, we've got this week's Auto News coming up right after this break.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
A social distancing tip.
While the CDC urges you to avoid close contact, like hugging or shaking hands, there are other non-physical ways to say hello. Wave, wink, use sign language, salute, smile, give the peace sign, throw up an air high five, do jazz hands. Remember, stay a minimum of 6 feet or 2 arms length away from others, and stay home if you can. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part, because we're all #AloneTogether. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
You know, Lido. Yeah. Welcome back to the In Wheel Time Car Show. Thank you very much for joining us. By the way, wanted to let you know that we are live every Saturday here from Studio A. And we're live from 10 a.m. to noon Central Time. And we'll be back again next week. and we're going to talk about EVs. I just wanted to forewarn you about that, because when I was told that we're going to do an EV show, I was scared. Kind of like I am when I get an EV to drive. I've had 2 of them here recently.
You were hoping it was Barbara Eden as an EV as opposed
God, yes,
to...
even at 90, she's still hot. I don't care what you say. All right, let's talk about events, because there's events, believe it or not,
Well,
still going
tonight
on.
is an off night for Nifty 50s, so they're not going to be meeting in the Woodlands. But also tonight is the Chuck Wagon Barbecue and Burger meet in Katy, and that's at Chuck Wagon Barbecue and Burgers. That starts at 6 p.m. That's on the west side of town. On the east side of town is the Kemah Car Meet, and that, again, starts at 6 p.m. in Kemah. At 7 p.m., Cars Across Texas meet in Spring, and that's basically in the Champion Forest and Louetta intersection. Tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. is Cars, Coffee, and Donuts in Navasota. You can figure out where in Navasota. It's not big enough to get where you're not going to
just honk the horn. Somebody will come get you.
Where all those cars are gathering. At 8 a.m. tomorrow is Cars and Coffee, and that's at Beltway 8 and Highway 90, not too far from you, Don. Also at 9 a.m. is Jeep.
Where is it going to be?
At Beltway 8 and Highway 90 in the northeast corner of that. There's a shopping center up there. They're going to meet in there.
Beltway 8 and Highway 90.
Yeah, it's south of 59
Yeah,
at Beltway 8 and 90.
Yeah.
So I guess that's over there by Westbury High School.
Yeah, that's not quite that close, but that's weird because it's nothing but industrial stuff over there.
And that might be why they're meeting there, because they have
weird.
a big parking
Can you
lot.
imagine how hot it would be for that?
Well, that's why it's at 8 a.m. in the morning. But it's still hot.
All
So
right.
also at 9 a.m. is Jeep and Lattes in Richmond, and that's at 7414 Grand Parkway. And then out at Houston Motorsports Park is Sunday Test and Tune. And then, again, Wednesdays is Freddy's in Katy. And Fridays is Freddy's at Kirkendall in 2920. And then Sunday night is Freddy's at 1960 in Eldridge. And all those Freddy's meets are being hosted by Showplace Classics. And
General Motors said Wednesday, said this week, that Chevrolet will end production of the Sonic this year.
What? Who?
That's a news story.
Yeah.
I had to do it just to poke fun. I think that they sold maybe 1,000 Sonics last year.
They sold more than that.
Yeah,
well, let's see.
Not in Texas.
In 2014, they sold 93,000 of them. Last year, they sold less than 14,000 of them. Yeah. Ugh. I don't want to do the Carlos Ghosn story.
I understand Ford Super Duty production may be disrupted because Ford's having trouble getting engines out of the engine plant in Mexico because they're on a 50% workforce status.
Well, yeah, and that is
because of coronavirus.
Yeah, exactly. Here's one that I've been wanting to say. Britain's Ineos Group, one of the world's largest chemical companies you've likely never heard of, is preparing to enter the auto industry with a new from the wheels up utilitarian vehicle. It's a boxy, rugged-looking mid-size 4x4 whose size and shape makes it a near clone of the classic Land Rover Defender 110 wagon that ended production in 2016, and it could land in the U.S. in the year 2022. Jim Ratcliffe, the Richard Branson-esque chairman of Ineos Group, tried to buy the classic Defender's production tooling from Jaguar Land Rover in 2016 and continue production. When JLR declined, Ratcliffe, one of Britain's richest men, decided his money would build its own utilitarian SUV aimed at the very same market. Adventurers, sportsmen, builders, farmers, segment Ratcliffe believes Land Rover left in the dust with the 2020 Defender. He's going to put $1 billion into this thing. The company currently employs 23,000 people in 34 businesses and 183 manufacturing centers. Let's see, there will be at least one major difference between this vehicle called the Grenadier and the classic Defender, the interior. That's pretty much it.
Is this petroleum-powered or an EV?
Oh, no, I guess it's going to be a petroleum-powered.
Oh, good, because that's why British drink warm beers, because they have Lucas refrigerators. Ba-dum-ching. I wouldn't buy anything electric from the British, but that's beside the point.
Oh, my God. I think, where is he going with this? That's kind of weird.
Oh, no.
Did you hear that FCA is pushing the Ram truck brand into the high-performance territory? They're talking about doing a Hellcat-motored full-size pickup truck in 2021 called the Ram TRX.
No surprise there. Well, that's it for today's In Wheel Time Car Show. Hey, when you're on Facebook, Please give us a like and watch our show over and over again. You'll get Conrad's Unicorn hunting features along with all things automotive. If you missed a show or even a little chunk of it, you can find it online. Our website is inwheeltime.com and YouTube as well as Facebook. Podcasts of the show available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, iHeart Podcasts, TuneIn, Google Podcast, and Podcast Addict. The In-Wheel Time Chief Engineer is the fabulous vacationing in the UP, David Ainsley. The guy in the plaid jacket and knit pants is our video technical director and sales expert, Mr. Jeffrey Zekin, and we thank you, sir, for being you. Special thanks to all of our guests today. For Mike Out of This World Mars and King Conrad DeLong, I'm Don Armstrong. Thank you for following the In-Wheel Time Car Show. Please tell your friends about us. Have a great week and stay cool if you can. Next week, we'll try to get some insight into the mystery of EVs. God help us. Be sure to catch our show online next Saturday, 10 a.m. to noon on Facebook, YouTube, and InWheelTime.com. We'll see you then. Keep it sanitary.